everybody. Welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs Moran Live, the high noon stream, the first of two streams that we do each and every day here on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. The first one, this one, we deal mostly in headlines, breaking news, trending topics, all those kinds of things. This is designed so that you can have a nice little cheat sheet for you so you know everything that anybody could possibly come up with. Hey, did you hear about? Then you can say, yeah, actually I did because they touched on it on the high noon stream. It's utilitarian in nature, really. Something designed for you. The Pillow Talk stream, that comes on at 9 o'clock. That's me and James Parker. It's Pugs and Parker's Pillow Talk. It's a little bit more... oh, geez, I don't even have everything set up. It's a little bit more fly by the seat of your pants. It's a little bit more conversational. Sometimes it's just stupid, but, that's what you get with the two streams. So please join us if you can for either one or both. Really, that's the preferred. Join us for both. Okay, so here's what's happening, folks. Again, this is going to be a little bit different than normal. The way we typically do our show is that we start off with all the things that make today special. I'm going to bump that segment, birthdays, world events, things that happened, people who died, all the things that make this day, February the 22nd, 2022, so interesting. We have a whole bunch of big breaking news going on just within the last 20 minutes. Stuff is absolutely popping off. And of course, we're talking about the situation going on in the Ukraine. There's an all-out war looking like it's starting today, starting now, starting as we speak. We're feeling a little bit here because very interesting to note, too. President Biden is going to be addressing the country here any minute. We're waiting on him any minute. And as a matter of fact, maybe we'll get this thing pulled up just so that we don't miss any of it. And I say it's interesting because here's the deal. So Biden was expected. It was announced early this morning that he would be addressing the nation at 1 p.m. our time, 2 p.m. Washington time. It was a 1 p.m. address. And then about an hour ago, the 1 p.m. address was bumped up by an hour. Instead of it airing at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, the White House suddenly made a change and said, no, we're going at noon. We're going at noon Central Time. Hold on a second. Hold on. There's things happening like every second here.
Russian foreign minister scheduled for, I guess, Friday has been canceled.
Okay. All right. See, there is just stuff popping off by the moment. As I said, they moved the Biden speech up from 1 until noon, which is interesting. It seems maybe, I don't know, maybe he had a golf game. I don't know, although I don't think so. They moved it up. It causes you to wonder, is there more of a sense of urgency? Why would they do that? And then shortly after they bumped up the presidential address by an hour, all hell started to break loose. Governments around the world have started issuing tweets and statements and all sorts of very troubling things. Here, I'll run through some of them, just so that you're up to speed on what's been taking place today. Yesterday, we all know that Putin got in front of the Russian people and went for an hour and 10 minutes, which is long by Putin standards. And if you saw some of the comments from so-called experts about the speech, they described it as rambling. They described it as incoherent. They described it as revisionist from a historical standpoint. It was essentially Putin getting in front of the Russian people, trying to convince them why this war is going to happen and why it's our right as Russians to, wage this war. Ukraine belongs to us, all of that. Okay. So he gives the speech, then he goes in with his Security Council and he signs a document that essentially says that we're recognizing the independence of the Donbas region. The Donbas region is like a big swath of land there in the Ukraine. Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm monitoring stuff. It includes the cities of Donetsk, Luhansk, Mariupol. These are big cities in eastern Ukraine. They've been Russia has been claiming that it's not the Ukraine, it's Russia for years now. However, there had been some accords signed. You may hear experts mentioning things like the Minsk Accords or the Minsk document, the Minsk Agreement, all of these things, which essentially staved off any sort of Russian aggression in that area for the past 5 or 6 years or so. Well, those are all out the window now. Those Putin has decided, yeah, I'm not going to stick to that anymore. He rolled his tanks in, he rolled his troops in, he put all kinds of heavy artillery into the city of Donetsk last night. Today, there have been multiple reports of fighting, shelling. A couple Ukrainian soldiers were killed early this morning, which people are heralding as the official beginning of aggressions between the Ukraine Defense Forces and the Russian army. So that was all happening. That's what we woke up to. Okay, so this morning, some of the things that changed was Russian parliament in what is being called an absolutely stunning development, an unexpected development. The Russian parliament has granted Putin sweeping authority over all kinds. Now, we like to think of Putin as a dictator, but I guess there are some levers and mechanisms that he has to, or at least pretend to abide by as he goes through the course of his operations as a dictator. Parliament, I do not believe is in any way an independent body. I think that they are probably puppets of Putin himself. Putin is himself a puppet of the oligarchs there. But Parliament has granted Putin sweeping authority to wage war outside the borders of Russia. And this is not just contained now to the specific area of the Donbas, which is, again, the eastern region of Ukraine that he's had his eyes set on for a long time. This has caused ripples all across the world of people going, okay, so this is now he doesn't even have to do anything to just move further into Ukraine and take larger areas of the whole country. Because if you remember, Putin made a case yesterday for about an hour and 10 minutes stating that he believes that the whole of Ukraine is Russia and that it's theirs and it's their right to have, and any sort of independent or Western leaning thoughts or dreams that the people of Ukraine may have, he says niet. He is saying no to that. Okay, so those are the things that happened this morning. What else do we have? Well, we have the troops have moved into Donetsk. There is some fighting going on. We are still waiting for President Biden to address what we're doing. U.S. Special Forces have been pulled out of the Ukraine in anticipation of heightened aggressions between the Ukraine Defense Forces and the Russian military. U.S. Special Forces had been in the Ukraine training and acting as advisors and, basically showing them how to use all the cool kick-ass equipment that we've given them. They've pulled back. They are now being pulled back to Poland and Slovenia, where they are on at the ready. They are in ready mode. They're not, they're just out of Ukraine. So that if anything should pop off, no one's going to say that it was, U.S. Special Forces that were involved in it. But they are ready to get involved. To what extent, I don't know. We'll have to see here. Some other things that have broke recently. This is a very big one. Steve Herman, who is a pretty good Voice of America News. He is the chief national correspondent for Voice of America. He says that Russia is evacuating its diplomatic facilities in the whole of Ukraine because their personnel have received threats. Now, personnel who are receiving threats, take that with a grain of salt. But the actual news here is that Russia has now pulled out every one of their diplomats. Everybody that could possibly have a conversation about stopping whatever is to come is now been pulled out of the Ukraine. This is also important because they would not proceed with a full-on war against the Ukraine with their diplomats still in the country. Should that happen, those diplomats just become they become kidnap victims. They become, people that get arrested immediately, thrown into whatever the Ukrainian version of the gulag is. So that's a very big deal. That has just happened within the last, let's see, when was this posted? This was posted at 11:42 a.m. So just within the last 30 minutes, Russia has evacuated all of their diplomats. This is all in anticipation of what people believe is going to be a full-on beginning of the war today at any point. Now here, let's check this. I want to check. There are some interesting things happening here as we await President Biden's speech. Flight tracker. We've been looking at flight tracker here on this show. We've been, okay, so we're going to stop sharing that. We'll go back to that. There are some interesting things happening in the air over the Ukraine, and I'll share them with you. By the way, last night, this was fantastic. Was it Homer 7? Homer, here, let me see if I can find this for you. I don't know what it was exactly called. Last night, and I wish I had a way to be able to show you the path of this thing. Here it is. Homer 21. Okay, so it was last night, after we signed off with myself and James Parker from doing our Pillow Talk show, where we talked extensively about all of this. He didn't care. His position is, this is nothing. Whatever. I think it is something. I think it means a whole lot to Europe as a whole. I think it means a whole lot to us, and I think it means a whole lot to whatever the future of Vladimir Putin is going to be in Russia. Homer 21, which is United States Air Force recon plane. It is a Boeing RC-135B recon plane. Homer 21 took off from a military base in Crete, in Greece, an American military base in Crete. It took off and flew back and forth for hours last night. I mean, right off the coast of Sevastopol, Crimea, which is the location of the Russian Navy's Black Sea Fleet. It was flying so close to the coastline. It had its transponder on, which is important because Homer 21, an American Air Force reconnaissance jet, was flying back and forth, buzzing essentially the Russian Black Sea Fleet there at their base in Sevastopol. Transponder on being a big deal because it's telling the entire world, hey, we're here, we're taking pictures, everyone can see us. Take your best shot if you dare. And that's really, it was provocative. It was the most provocative action that we have seen by at least an American military plane so far in this ramp up, lead up, whatever it is that we're going to be calling this right now. Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm getting all kinds of my kid. The war is breaking out. We're all going to hell. And my kid is texting me, hey, you want to get Halal Brothers or Halal Guys for lunch? Hold on. I have to tell him yes. Hold on. As a matter of fact, we'll take a little break here for levity before I go back into this. So anyway, the Homer 21, the recon plane, was flying back and forth for hours, just daring, flying all around. It was the only... Hey, I'm streaming right now, so you're on with us. Well, you know I'm streaming. What are you doing?
What?
You sending me a text in the middle of the stream?
Well, I'm in like an hour.
You're what?
I'm in like an hour.
Oh, well, yeah. What do you want? What do you want for lunch?
Oh, look at the text.
All right. Hold on, guys. What are you doing over there? You playing with the VR?
No, I'm just watching TV right now.
Are you watching TV on the giant garage door size TV?
Yep.
Okay, what are you watching? You watching some Bo Burnham?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, I know what you're watching. All right, love you, kiddo. And hey, you need me. You come over here. Don't interrupt me during the stream. You know all out war is breaking out. There he goes. He doesn't care. He's a kid. And that's good. A kid shouldn't care. A kid should not care about this stuff. Okay, so again, the provocative movements of Homer 21. It was interesting. They did it for about 3 hours last night, flying up and down the coast of Crimea, getting really close. And each pass, it would get closer and closer. It was almost, like I said, it was very provocative. And I know I'm a nerd on all of this stuff, but it was pretty exciting. It was like, what is this guy doing? And his transponder was on, and there was absolutely no. Here, let's see if we can fix this. Let's see where we are. His transponder was on. He was letting the whole world know what he was doing. He was essentially daring Russian Navy to come after him. And there were no Russian Navy jets. There was absolutely nothing seen there. But you better believe that there were a crap ton of Russian Navy jets that were scrambled and were following this plane. They just didn't have their transponders on. And that's one of the big things here. You'll see. Okay, so here's what we're looking at right now. This is the Black Sea. You see where the blue thing is? This are we sharing it? I want to make sure that we're sharing this. Yeah, we are. Okay, but you know what? I can probably go in a little bit closer. All right. So there's Sevastopol. Okay, so this is where the Black Sea Fleet of the Russian Navy is based. This is a very large and very strategic position for the Russian military. So essentially what Homer was doing was he was flying like this, if you're following where my hand is. He was flying like this. And then he'd go out here, and then he'd turn around, and he'd come back a little bit closer, and then he'd go all the way up around this area, come back around. I mean, it was exciting for a nerd like me who's been following this silly situation for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days now. Okay, so you see here, this is essentially a no-fly zone for the most part. Nobody is allowed in this essential area. These are all commercial airline planes. They're flying, their regular routes. This is the Sea of Azov. This is a complete and total no-fly zone. This right here, this is the coast of the Donbass. You see Mariupol, which is one of the big cities that the Russians covet. You see Donetsk, which is another major city. This is where a bunch of the fighting is occurring right now. And then up here we have Luhansk, which is essentially right near the border. Which that's easily going to fall. But this area right here, if you do this outline like this, this is the area that Russia wants. This in here. This is what's known as the Donbass. This is the area that everybody's fighting over. Okay, so let's see what we have going on here. You notice over almost the whole of Ukraine, we have no air travel, no commercial, no nothing. Typically, there'd be a crap ton of planes flying over here, but they're all taking an outside the border line. They're all flying away. So what we're looking for is anything interesting in this area. This guy here, very interesting. No call sign. Okay, so that means, let's see what we got here. Okay, this is no call sign with an invalid transponder code. There is absolutely no information about this plane at all. So what we would assume here is this. I'm wondering if this is. Okay, so whatever plane this plane is now flying outside, far outside the Donbass. I had been assuming most of the morning that this plane here was a Russian plane because it had begun here. Let's do this. Let's see if we can find what the most watched planes are, because those are the ones that are. All right, so this is the most watched plane. All right, and this is a Ukraine National Guard helicopter. It's a military Mi-8MT. Okay, so this is the most watched plane at the moment. Let's see where that is. Ukraine National Guard. Okay, so that is Ukrainian military. That's that is the most watched plane in the sky at the moment. Let's see what else we have. Let's see what this guy is. Where's this guy? Okay, this is a Ryanair. That's an Irish plane. Took off from Kiev. Okay, so people are watching that for some reason. I don't know why. Let's see what this one is. Okay, this is another one. These all seem to be based around Kiev. What is this one? This is Ukraine International Airlines. That's one people are watching. Then there's this one. This is Sky Up Airlines. A lot of these airlines I've never heard before. Okay. Did we just lose that other plane? Okay. Okay, here, wait. Let me pull out a little. Okay, the plane that we were just watching that had no transponder or had an invalid transponder, it's just disappeared from the radar. Which means they've either completely gone stealth and they've completely gone dark and turned off their transponders, or it's been blown out of the sky. We don't know. It is gone. It was just here a minute ago. We were just looking at it, remember? It was the one I told you I've been watching all morning, and now it's gone. And for most of the morning, it was the number one watched plane. Another plane that was very interesting was over here. This we get into Poland. There was a British Royal Air Force plane. That one's, I think, is probably gone. Let's see if we can find a British Royal Air Force plane. That's it. That's it now. Yeah. Okay. So this plane right here, you can see what this plane was doing all morning. This plane was flying along the border of, it looks like they were checking up on Russian troops and all that in Belarus, because there are a bunch of troops that are stationed in this area. This plane took off from like some island off the coast of England, and it flew. You can see how obvious and deliberate its path was. This guy was doing a mission, so he went up and he went down and he went down. He probably took all kinds of pictures. So this is another one of these Boeing rivet joint planes. This is exactly like the Homer American jet. This is a reconnaissance plane. So this plane was flying some recon duty all up around here, taking pictures and figuring out what the hell. Now it looks like he's heading back home. See, this is where he took off from. So this is obviously where he's heading back to. I don't know, what is that? It doesn't even look like there's an island there. What is this guy? That's a Swiss Airjet. Or maybe it didn't have its transponder on so that it wouldn't show exactly where it was taking off from. Maybe that's a concern. They don't want to throw a spotlight on where the bases are that these planes are taking off from, which would be in stark contrast to the American plane, the recon plane that was flying last night all around here in the Black Sea. That plane had absolutely all of its authorities public. It had where it was coming from. It came from an American military base in Crete. Its transponder was on, and it was doing some aggressive stuff, man. It was doing some real provocative stuff. It had no fear. It was the only plane in this area for hours last night, which means that all other planes were told stay out of this area, and the United States Air Force plane was like, yeah, no, fuck that. No, we're going to go, and we're going to tell everybody we're coming. We're going to show the whole world that we're coming, and ain't nobody going to get in our way. All right, let's see if there's anything else that's popped up now. Okay, so is this the same one that was number one before? Yeah. Oh no, this one is back. Okay, so the one that had disappeared has now come back on. This is the invalid transfer. To see, this is interesting. And I'll tell you why this plane here is very interesting. Because this plane was flying over the contested area all morning long. So the assumption was that it was completely black, invalid transponder code, no origin of departure, no origin of arrival. All of the information is being kept secret. So this plane here, after flying through here, was assumed to be a Russian plane, but now it seems to be flying over free airspace. I don't know. That means this could be a Ukrainian plane that was very ballsy. Let's see, what is the altitude? Do we have an altitude on what's flying? It's flying high. It is flying at 55,000 feet. So it's way up in the sky, which suggests that maybe it's could it be a drone? Could this be a drone? Sometimes it will give you the information on the type of aircraft that it is, and it won't necessarily say it's a drone, but it'll have a number that you can click on, and then you'll go to Google and you'll see exactly what it is. So this one here, this is an interesting plane, and that's why it's the number one tracking plane in America or in the world right now. Has anything else popped up? No, it's still that one. Okay, so now what is this one? This is the number 2 watched plane. Where was the Ukrainian military helicopter? Which is what I think that was, or the Ukrainian National Guard. Okay, now that one's not registering. That must be on the ground now. Okay, that's not anything of interest. Okay, and these are all just now they're just tracking flights coming in and out of Kiev. Huh. All right, so this is the curious one. This is the curious one that is flying into secured Western Ukraine. We'll have to see where that guy goes. What is this guy? Okay, Wizz Air. All right, so we'll check in on that a little bit later. Excuse me, that's my morning coffee. I do apologize. Okay, so we'll check in on that. We are waiting for the White House has put out a statement. Putin's actions constitute beginning of an invasion. Okay. And now again, I had said earlier that Biden was supposed to start speaking at 1 p.m. our time. Then about 10:30 this morning, that was changed. It was moved back. It was moved ahead. There seemed to be a sense of urgency in getting him out in front of the American people. So it was changed from 1 p.m. to 12 p.m. Now, since it was changed to 12 p.m., since it was moved back, I mean, we're now 28 minutes past when he was supposed to come out. Since it was changed, a whole bunch of new stuff had come out and been made public. The evacuation of the Russian diplomats. There are a whole bunch of videos of shelling and sounds and all that stuff. So possibly, he was all set to come out and do his prepared statement and what he had decided. And now things have changed. So now we don't know. We do not know when he's going to come. All right. See what we got here. We'll be covering this all day. What else do we have? Okay, so this is a thing. This is in Donetsk. This was posted just about an hour ago. I got a terrible glare on my computer. I can't see anything. There we go. I need better drapes. This is from Donetsk from earlier today. You can hear a lot of shelling. Sounds of war, I would say. Whoever this person is taking this video. This is reported to be Donetsk, but again. Okay. Yeah, there's something going on over there. There are reports of an oil refinery exploding. All right. There we go. Do we leave that sound on? That sounds on a bit of a loop. Maybe that would be appropriate for today's show. All right, let's see. What else do we need to do? There are reports that Denis Pushin, who is the self-proclaimed leader of the DPR, which is the leader of the Donetsk People's Republic, which is the Kremlin-backed political faction that is now taking power in Donetsk over the Ukrainian administrative authority who had been there for, well, because it's Ukraine. It'd be like if imagine here in Texas, we've got the Texas separatist movement. Imagine if just we woke up tomorrow and Governor Abbott was gone, which I'm sure a lot of people would be okay with, but hey, that's why we have elections. He won. Just imagine you woke up tomorrow and Abbott was all of a sudden powerless, and the dude who was the leader of the Texas separatist movement had now ordained himself the new king of Texas or whatever. So that's who Denis Pushin is. And Denis Pushin, seeing a bunch of reports here that, again, these are reports. These are social media reports. There are stories going around, not verified. This is not verified, man. I'm just talking here about stuff that people are reporting. There are reports that he's missing. Then there are reports that he put out a video, but that video was obviously concocted and it was recorded a while ago. He has, for the last couple of days, stopped appearing on camera wearing suits as a political leader would, and he's done that Middle Eastern dictator thing where all of a sudden he's a general, where all of a sudden he's wearing a military outfit. But he's missing. He's MIA. And there could be a number of reasons for this. He could have been, one of the reasons that people are saying is that he's been arrested by Ukrainian authorities, which, isn't going to make Putin happy. Other stories are that he's just simply gone underground because the war is starting. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We'll have to see what's happening there with Denis Pushin, who is the self-proclaimed and Kremlin-ordained leader of the DPR, the Donetsk People's Republic. What else has been mentioned? Oh, yes. France. France on Friday had France has been... Folks, why are you talking about France? France has been very active in mediating this situation. Macron seems to have... Former French President Macron seems to have some degree of relationship with Putin. And he's been... If you remember on Sunday night, the big story that broke was that Macron had brokered an agreement for Putin and Biden to meet. That was promoted widely as, okay, so there's not going to be any invasion. Putin and Biden are going to meet. However, people didn't really read the report. The report said that Macron has both Putin and Biden's agreement to meet in principle, with a couple of qualifiers. One being that there was no Russian incursion into the Donbas, which, just listen, I mean, that is happening. And it would only occur after Secretary of State Blinken met with Sergei Lavrov, who is the Russian foreign minister. They were supposed to meet on Thursday and discuss exactly what Biden and Putin would talk about. Now, I do not know if the Thursday meeting between Lavrov and Blinken is still on. It seems like it would not be. It seems like that would be canceled at this point. However, we have received word here in the last here in News Central, we found out the French foreign minister has announced that there will now be no meeting on Friday between Lavrov and French authorities. So, at the very least, that indicates that diplomatic measures have completely broken down. The genie is out of the bottle, as you can hear, and all the fun is beginning. All right, let me quickly see here what, if anything, new is occurring. EU announces sanction packages targeting all 351 members of the Russian State Duma who approved recognition of breakaway states in eastern Ukraine, along with Russia's ability to access the European Union markets. Okay, so that's a big deal. That's breaking as of 1 minute ago. Okay, so the European Union is not doing business with anybody in the Russian parliament who voted to approve this action, and that's everybody. They did that this morning. That was the big breaking news this morning, where the Russian parliament gave Putin wide sweeping authority to wage war outside the boundaries of Russia. That's a big deal. Also, it was announced, this is another huge one that happened just within the last hour. Germany has announced, let me pull up these dots so I get this exactly right. This is a big deal for Germany to do. This is going to really affect the German economy. Germany has announced that they will shut down all of their... Well, here, let me get it right for you. I don't want to say it wrong because, I am not an expert. I am just a civilian in all of this. Okay, there's the Russians are evacuating. Where is... Okay, so Germany has decided to cut off the Nordstream 2 pipeline. The Nordstream 2 pipeline is a gas, oil, fuel pipeline that runs from Russia into Europe. It is Russia. If you're not aware, Russia is, I believe, the number one oil producer in the world. They got a lot of oil in Russia. We don't really talk about it because for generations we were in a cold war with them and we didn't deal with their oil. So that's why, we have our dealings with, South America and OPEC and the Middle East and all that kind of stuff. But Russia was providing oil. They had built this beautiful big new pipeline, and much of the oil that European nations, European Union members depend on come through the Russia to Germany Nordstream 2 pipeline. Is that it? Is it billions? Okay, it is worth. Here's why this is important. Germany depends on this. So Germany is now signaling to the world that they're all in, that they have dealt with Russia before, that they have no intention. If Putin is going on a land grab, Germany was a country that was cut in half for the Cold War. Half of their country was taken. So if Putin is now claiming some sort of historic right to all of these former Soviet republics, Germany is looking at this like, yeah, there's not going to be such a thing as East Berlin again. You're not going to get half of our, that's not going to happen. So Germany is all in. And why is this important? Why is this a major move? It's a major move because the Nord Stream 2 pipeline is worth $15 billion a year to one specific Russian oil company. Okay? Now, this particular Russian oil company is headed up by 5 of the most powerful oligarchs in all of Russia. And if you understand the way Russia works right now, Putin exists, Putin rules at the pleasure of the oligarch handlers, the multi-billionaire, super wealthy dudes in Russia who got all of this money after the fall of Soviet Union by raping the country and keeping it all for themselves. These guys are the real power, and these guys deal with the Western world. These guys deal with Europe. These guys have a real economic interest in keeping the money flowing. So this is $15 billion a year that this particular group of oligarchs are now going to be losing for as long as this pipeline, Germany says, nope, we're capping it. We're all done. Stop sending it. We ain't paying for it. We ain't using it. That's a very big deal. That is, of all of the things that we learned that happened this morning, that sends a signal that Europe, because Germany wouldn't have made this decision without first consulting all the other European Union countries. Because, you're Belgium and you're sitting there going, wait, Germany, we need that gas too. That's not just you. You're risking a fracture within the European Union. You're risking that the alliance that seems to be, thick as thieves at this moment, showing some cracks. That cannot possibly be the case. Germany would not make this move without having the entirety of the European Union in lockstep with them. So that's a big deal. Germany saying nope, and yet it's over. What else do we have here that's breaking as we listen to the sounds of shelling outside of Donetsk? You know what? Let's check back in with the flight tracker radar, because this is one of the things that I think is the most telling about what is currently happening. All right, here we go. Let's get back into this nonsense. And again, folks, if you tune in for the regular show, all of the things that we do, we'll just do it on the back end. We're waiting for Biden to speak. We're waiting to hear exactly what. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we got some new planes here that seem to be flying in the direction of the contested lands. What is this guy? Okay, this guy is flying from Kiev. All right, he just took off. That's all right. That's not a problem. What about this guy? Is this guy a problem? This guy's not a problem. Let's check in on that plane that was flying with no transponder. All right, let's see where he is now. Remember now, this is the plane that was flying all over the Donbas earlier today. And then it seems to have double backed and headed towards western Ukraine. Let's see where this guy is. Okay, yeah, he's just south of Kiev now. This would be Western held ground. This would be Ukrainian held ground. So I'm starting to think now that this plane, which is now flying at 55,000 feet, I'm thinking that unless it's doing recon, unless it is a Russian plane. See, because remember, the confusion is that it seemed to be flying all over the Donbas, which is, would be a no-go area for anything other than Russian military. So he was flying without problem for hours, and now he's flying over. This could be an American plane. This could be a United States Air Force plane. We saw a British Royal Air Force plane that was flying recon along the Ukrainian and Belarus border earlier today. But this is very curious. And it's obviously the reason why it's the number one watched plane worldwide. Nobody knows what this guy's doing. Nobody knows what's happening here. And it very well could be a drone. It could be an unmanned drone flying at 56,000 feet or 55,000 feet now. All right, let's see what else we have here. Are there any other interesting planes that have popped up? All right, this one is this one. Okay, that's just a normal plane. That guy's flying out of Kiev. Yeah, that's the one we were just looking at. Okay, so this is the number 2 most watched plane. This guy took off from Kiev and seems to be heading directly in the direction of. I don't know that it's a declared no-fly zone. I just know that since this is the contested area, that there is obviously commercial airliners are avoiding it like the plague. You can see this line right here. All right, so this is a, what is this? All right, it's a scheduled, looks like a small commuter flight. I don't know. I do not know what that's about. What's this one? Okay, this is another one. All right, that's also taking off from Kyiv. Let's look at 4. Yeah, these are all planes that are taking off from Kyiv that are being watched. Okay, what is it? Ukraine International Airline. Okay, that guy's doing safe. He's flying to Odessa, which is down there on the coast. So he's okay. He seems to be fine. But it's this guy again, man. This guy he's at 55,000 feet now. Still, he was at 56 earlier. I don't know what that means. I'm not an aviation expert. Although I'm telling you, I'm quickly becoming one. All right, let's see what this guy is. Now, this down here in the Black Sea, this is the base of the Russian Navy. The Black Sea Fleet is all here. They're located specifically in this there's a little inlet here. Okay, so this where my hand is where the bulk of like the Navy ships are. Let's see what this guy is. This guy is a Ural Airlines. He's flying to Moscow. Okay, so he's fine. What is this guy over here? There's another big Russian base over here. Okay, that's just the airport. What is this guy doing? It's a Ryanair flight. Yeah, it's another one of the crazy Irish airlines. Okay, Istanbul to Moscow. That guy's fine. Yeah, you can see there's absolutely nothing. I mean, this would typically be a very busy airspace. Planes fly over, and they're avoiding the Russian fleet like the plague. There is nothing flying over the Sea of Azov. What's this guy? Private owner. Okay, I'm looking to see if there are any Russian planes in the air. Now, again, this doesn't mean that there aren't Russian planes in the air over this area. In fact, I would imagine that there would certainly be, but it just means that they don't have their transponders on, and that they're going stealth. They're going secret. What's this guy? What's this guy about? All right, that's another one. Is this? Yeah. Okay. So here we go, man. This guy is just trucking his way. It's interesting that the flight path seems to start here. Oh, this is where it dropped off. Remember, it dropped off for a minute. It was missing, and then it reappeared back on radar or back on whatever this is. Because it certainly didn't just start here and fly here. It had been flying all morning long, all over Donetsk and Mariupol and in this area. And then it doubled back this way, disappeared for a while, and then reappeared here. Okay. I don't know. It'll be interesting if this. Here's what we know. Here is what we absolutely know. It seems to be heading towards the Polish border. Okay, this is going to be Poland over here. So if this guy makes it all the way to the Polish border, then we know what he is. We know that he's a NATO plane. We know that he's somehow aligned with the NATO forces, because Poland, make no mistake, there is a lot of NATO forces here. Ain't nobody effing with this border in Poland. This border is secure. This is where big, serious European army is based. Why? Because it's sort of the bumper up against it. It's close. Up until Ukraine, if they do become a member of NATO, it's basically the closest they can get. They can get to keeping an eye on Russia. So there's a lot of stuff here. Is he still moving? Yeah, he is still moving with no call sign. What are these guys? That's another Ryanair. That's okay. I know this is boring. I'm sorry, but checking in on the White House. Okay, it's going to begin shortly. All right, well, you know what we will do? Because it is difficult for me to actually follow instantly breaking news while I'm streaming. Unless, of course, something really big happens, then I have to assume that my Twitter feed will go nuts. So I'm going to keep it on my Twitter feed to see if anything new comes up. Okay, so this, all right, I don't know what this is. Why not show this, though, since we are looking at, hold on. This is new video. Seems to be some form of surveillance video. The report says, here, I'll pull it up, we'll show it to you. There are some other things happening today. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers. We'll talk about the Ahmaud Arbery hate crime trial. Got, okay. Is this my guy here? Is this it? Yeah, it is. Okay. So this says, it appears they are burning documents at the Russian consulate in Odessa. All right. Now remember, all Russian diplomats were told to get the hell out of town. So are they doing a little burn? Are they doing a little burn show here? Yeah, there it is. Let's see what this is all about. So, like I said, it seems to be some sort of. All right. What we're being told, and there are a few blue checks in the thread confirming. So, again, take that with whatever it is. But this is apparently the Russian consulate in Odessa, and they're in full burn mode. They're on their way out, and they are burning the goods. Whatever kind of documents they have there. These are all the things that happen before the shit truly hits the fan. I'll tell you, I have, since the start of this thing, I have began following like 100 more people. All these people who I will probably never follow after this whole thing. Just a bunch of like Russian and Ukrainian speaking journalists and TikTokers and social media people who are on the scene, who are posting live footage and all of that good stuff. Take a drink here. All right, so we've covered basically the stuff that is happening, and as we await Biden, why not get into just what we normally do here on the show? Okay, so let's talk about what today is. As I say, this show is all about headlines. This show is about trending topics. This show is about all of the things that you need to know if you want to walk through this world feeling like a relatively informed individual. It is my service to you. Let's change this out. Let's get the captions. Let's remind everybody that This is a show that exists for you and by you. We do take donations. If you want to help out with the show in any way, shape, or form, you can hit us up at all of those links right there. It's the end of the month. It is coming up quick. It is the hated month of February, where they rip me off of 3 days at the end of the month. When you are a guy who sweats the bills every single month, February sucks. February is no fun. So if you can help out, appreciate it. Also, if you wanna, if you're enjoying what this is on a daily basis, the rundown of all the topics, all the trending issues, all of the headlines. If you enjoy that, please share the show. Please help us grow. As Biden about to speak, I don't know. We will see. I mean, look, it looks like he's going to hit the original 1 p.m. Central Time that he was supposed to hit. That was changed, as I said, to 12. He moved it back an hour, and then all of this shit started to happen between 10:30 in the morning and noon, and looks like they moved it back. All right, today is February the 22nd. It is the 53rd day of the year. 312 days remain until the end of the year, so as we like to say around here, get them New Year's Eve plans started. What are some of the things that happened on this day? Well, I'll tell you. On this day in 1989, President Grover Cleveland signs a bill admitting to the United States North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, and Washington as states. You know the story about North Dakota and South Dakota? It's complete BS. There doesn't need to be a North and a South Dakota. There only needs to be one of them. They don't need North Dakota and South Dakota have like 15 people in the entire state. 15. They are two of the least populated United States. Is that how you say that? They are two of the least populated United States. Yeah, that seems like that would be right. Because you wouldn't say the least populated United States. You would say, okay, so you get my drift. There's like nobody that lives in North Dakota and South Dakota. Nobody. And yet they have 4 votes in the United States Senate. What the hell? What the hell is that about? You are telling me that North Dakota and South Dakota has 4 votes in the United States Senate and Texas only has 2. California only has 2. Pennsylvania only has 2. New York only has. The places where all the people live are only represented by 2 votes in the United States Senate, but North Dakota and South Dakota have 4? Get out of here. There's some things that we need to tweak about the guy. We need to get rid of that. I'm not even going to get started with North and South Carolina, because I think there's an argument to be made that's a completely different argument than North Dakota and South Dakota. North Dakota and South Dakota is a sham. That's a con. That was done deliberately so that certain factions would have more power within the United States Senate. It's garbage, if you ask me. Virginia and West Virginia, too. I'm looking at you, Virginia and West. I'm looking at you, West Virginia. Big troublemaking states with way too much senatorial power. It was on this day that those states became states. On this day in 1942, during World War II, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt orders General Douglas MacArthur out of the Philippines as the Japanese victory becomes inevitable. Man, if you know anything about MacArthur, if you're a fan of MacArthur, or even the slightest bit interested in the great generals, the great leaders of World War II, MacArthur never got over this, man. This was a big one to him when he had to give up, when MacArthur had to leave the Philippines. It killed him. He wanted to hunker down. He wanted to slug it out. He thought that there was a path to victory, but President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, yeah, you know what, dude? Cut bait. Get the hell out of there. We're losing too many people. And of course, the tragedy of the Bataan Death March soon followed. The Bataan Death March is where the Japanese Imperial Army, after the Americans left the Philippines and basically gave it up to them, the Death March. Oh my God. I think the Death March started a couple of months afterwards, like maybe in April. Anyway, the Japanese Imperial Army came in and took all of these prisoners, all of these Philippine prisoners, all of these American soldiers who were still there. They took them all prisoner, and they made them march till their death. They made them just keep marching. That's look it up, the Bataan Death March. It's just absolutely awful. People just dropping dead. People just so that was all that, it all began on this day when President Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, we got to get the hell out of here. This is not happening. Okay, what else happened on this day? Oh, this is an interesting one. On this day in 1974, a guy by the name of Samuel Bick, B-Y-C-K, Samuel Bike, I don't know. On this day in 1974, Samuel Bike attempts to hijack an aircraft at Baltimore Washington International Airport with the intention of crashing it into the White House in order to assassinate then President Richard Nixon. It didn't work for him. He was killed by police. But those were his plans. He had big plans for that day. On this day in 1980, my goodness, this is a day, as a little kid, I was just a little tiny kid back then. On this day in 1980 is the day that I think solidified my dedication to being a sports fan. Because, up until this point, when you're 8, 9, 10 years old, you don't really, you're like, okay, so what is this sports thing? Am I going to like this sports thing? Is there a reason? Is it going to touch my heart? Is it going to create a sentimental bond between me and a specific moment? Well, on this day, it did. What happened on this day? Well, I'll tell you what happened on this day in Lake Placid, New York. The miracle on ice occurred. That's right. The United States hockey team defeated the Soviet Union in the heart of the Cold War. Oh, did we hate the Russians then? We hate them a bit today too, but we hated them a lot then. We won the game 4-3. A lot of people don't remember that wasn't a gold medal game. That was like there was still another game to be played. The United States knocked the Russians out of gold medal contention, and it made us, the American team, still alive in the tournament. But it was the second to the last game. We knocked them out. Imagine the miracle on ice occurs. Do you believe in miracles? Imagine the miracle on ice occurs, and then we lose the next game. We didn't. We won. I don't know who. That's a good trivia question. So who did the Americans beat for the gold medal after they beat the Russians? Maybe someone in the chat room knows. I don't know. I could Google it, but I got like 5 different plates spinning, so I don't really care. I think it was like Sweden, Norway, Finland, something like that. It was a country that we didn't really have a problem with. So it was like, it wasn't like a big sentimental moment for us. All right, we got some breaking news here. Is this just because it's top of the hour? Yeah, it's just because it's top of the hour. CNN with their prick teases with their breaking news. All right, miracle on ice happened on this day in 1980. On this day in 1997, in Roslyn, Midlothian in the UK, British scientists announced that an adult sheep named Dolly had been successfully cloned. Remember that? Remember when Dolly the sheep? It was like the first clone. It was like, so that sheep doesn't have a soul. And then we all wondered, do sheep have souls? Or do sheep go to heaven? Is that a thing? I don't know. But it was the first successful cloning of something. Okay. Sorry, being distracted by some information about the Nordstream pipeline. That, again, breaking news. Germany said, yeah, we're not doing that no more. Sorry, Russian oligarchs. You're going to have to take a loss on this one because your puppet is being a dick. Dolly the sheep died. She only lived 6 years. Like, it wasn't like she came out all inside out or anything. It wasn't like, oh my God, all right, well, it lived for a couple of minutes and then it died. No, it was a successful, I guess. And I had to look this up this morning because I was like, well, okay, so if she lived for another 6 years, was it 6 years? Let me see here. No. Yeah, I read about that. Yeah, she lived about another 6 years. I was like, well, how long do sheep normally live? Like a housefly lives for like 20 seconds or something. I don't know what the life of a housefly is. The life of a housefly is so short that it sort of makes you respect when you're chasing a fly. When you have that one-on-one moment where the fly is getting away from you and you're chasing it down, you are participating in what is probably the most monumental moment in that fly's life. Because flies die in like a day. Flies only have like a couple of experiences. And so the next time that you're chasing down a fly, just recognize that you are the most important thing that has ever happened in that fly's life. Probably. She died. Dolly the sheep died 6 years later. And you know what she died of? This is kind of funny. She died of lung cancer. She died of Dolly the sheep, big smoker, apparently. That was the other thing. She came out. They immediately got her addicted to nicotine. No, she died of lung cancer. Really, Pugs? No, really? You mean the sheep? You were kidding about the sheep smoking? Yeah, I was kidding about that. As it turns out, lung cancer is incredibly common among sheep, especially sheep that spend a lot of time indoors. And also people were like, well, is this a lung cancer clone thing? And I guess a whole bunch of the other sheep that were in her flock, a whole bunch of the sheep that she was genetically culled from, I guess might be the appropriate way to say it. They also died of lung cancer. So it was like a genetic thing that was just in her DNA. And like they said, it's more common in sheep that spend a lot of time indoors. And how about this? Dolly spent almost her entire life indoors. She spent every night indoors where other sheep would, sleep in the sheep corral. Dolly had to be brought inside. You know why? Because crazy people were trying to kill her. She had to be protected. She was like the demon sheep. She was like a bunch of religious weirdos, like thought that they would be doing the world a favor if they just killed this miracle of science. Dolly the sheep. Dolly the sheep, born on this day in 1997. On this day in 2014, Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych of the Ukraine. Oh, you said that twice, asshole. I know, I'm sorry. He was impeached in the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. I don't know what that is. I think a Rada is a Rada. I don't know what's the difference between like a Rada and a Dumas. And I think Rada is a geographical area. Let me see here. Why am I getting bogged down with this? Because you know what? It seems appropriate that I learn a little bit about. No, looks like a Rada is a form of parliament. Yeah, so there we go. What the hell? Oh man. You know what? I really hate Google Documents. I hate that I can't scroll with these. I hate that yeah, there we go. Well, what is Arata? He was impeached. That's still not going to help me out here. Why are you getting bogged down with this? Because if I don't answer this question for myself, then I'll just go nuts. Yeah, okay, so it looks like the Verkhovna Rada is the parliament of the Ukraine, which would make sense because that would probably be the people who could impeach Yanukovych. In 2014, President Yanukovych of the Ukraine is impeached by the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine by a vote of 328-0, fulfilling a major goal of the Euromaidan rebellion. 328-0. How bad was this guy that the entire parliament, which has got to be, you'd figure, almost always divided by something? How insane is that? They all agreed this guy's got to go. Why did he have to go? Well, because all the way back then, and we're talking now about what year, 2014, Ukraine was already trying to be more European. They had a deal called the Euromaidan. I don't know what that is. Euromaidan. They had a deal with the rest of Europe that Ukraine would slowly over the course of time become absorbed into Europe and they would be more Western. The same things we're dealing with now. And this particular guy, Yanukovych, was a puppet of Russia and he pulled out of the deal. He became president and he was like, yeah, you know what? Hey, you know that thing that all you people want about us going and becoming part of Europe? No. We're going to get closer to the Kremlin. We're going to get closer to Russia. So he made that decision and 328-0. All of the other elected representatives of the Ukraine at the time was like, yeah, no. We all agree. We can't agree on anything most of the time, but on this, we're 100%. So he was gone. And that was essentially the beginning of the hostilities, the troubles that we have. This is the guy, if you remember, we talked last night with James Parker about how Russia in 2014 was able to just roll into the Crimea and essentially take it. The Crimea was a part of the Ukraine. Russia was able to take it over, and now they have the base at Sevastopol, and they have this very important strategic military location all to themselves on the Black Sea. And it was this guy, it was Viktor Yanukovych, who was the president of the Ukraine at the time, who was like, yeah, go ahead, take it. And everybody was like, no, don't take it. So there you have it. By the way, he hightailed it when he was kicked out and impeached. He was afraid that some bad stuff was going to happen to him, so he hightailed it back to Russia. Yeah, he was. Did he get killed? Is he dead? Is Yanukovych dead? Let's see. Did they kill him in Russia for being a failure? No, he's still alive. President of Ukraine from 2010 until he was removed from office during the Ukrainian Revolution. After rejecting the Ukrainian-European Association Agreement, Yanukovych was ousted from office in 2014. He currently lives in exile in Russia. Yeah, he ran back to Russia. He was like, "Oh, take me, please." So there you go. So that piece of shit certainly didn't have the people of Ukraine's wishes in his heart. He didn't give a crap. Births. We have some births today. And we're going to talk about it. First, we'll start out with a couple of people. We typically don't like to do this. We don't like to celebrate birthdays of people who have already died. But Don Pardo died or was born on this day in 1918. He died in 2014. That would mean he was 96 years old and like working essentially right up until his death. Who's Don Pardo, Pugs? Oh, you know who Don Pardo was. If you spend any time watching network television, especially, well, NBC, because that's what it was. If you watched NBC television in the 70s, let's not kid ourselves. Most of us aren't this old. 50s, 60s. Then I joined in the 70s, 80s, 90s, all of that. 2000s, Don Pardo was the voice of NBC. It's Saturday Night Live. He was like, who do they, when Don Pardo died, because he had been doing Saturday Night Live like almost right up until his death. Daryl Hammond, that's it. The guy, the new voice of Saturday Night Live is former SNL cast member Daryl Hammond. But Don Pardo was great, man. He had that voice right up until the day he died. He never sounded like an old guy. He's Don Pardo. That's right, Jimmy. He was like the great Don Pardo. Happy birthday. Yeah, dead. Also born on this day, sharing a birthday with Don Pardo. Didn't live nearly as long. This dude only lived to be 22 years old, but he holds a special place in my heart. Robert Wadlow. You know who Robert Wadlow is? Robert Wadlow was born on this day in 1918. Robert Wadlow was the world's tallest man. World's tallest man. And why do I know? Pugs, why would you know this? What are you, like a Guinness Book of World Records nerd? No, I know this because my son's mother grew up in his hometown. Alton, Illinois is where Robert Wadlow is. And whenever we would go back to her hometown, we'd always go and check out the life-size statue of Robert Wadlow. How tall was he? I think he was like 15 feet tall. That can't be right. Let me check Wikipedia. Wait a second. Why wasn't that wrong? Robert Pershing Wadlow, born February 22nd, 1918 in Alton, Illinois, died at the age of 22 in 1940. Nicknames: the Gentle Giant, the tallest man who ever lived, the Gentleman Giant, the Boy Giant, the Alton Giant, the Illinois Giant. Known for being verified tallest human being ever. Are you ready for this? What do you think he is? 7'6", 7 foot. This dude was 8 feet 11 inches tall. He was almost 9 feet tall. Good Lord. Born on this day. 8 feet 11 inches tall. Had to have special shoes. He was like a freak. Robert Pershing Wadlow, also known as the Alton Giant and the Giant of Illinois, was a man who was the tallest person in recorded history for whom there is irrefutable evidence. He was born and raised in Alton, Illinois, a small city near St. Louis. Wadlow's height of 8 feet 11 inches, while his weight reached 439 pounds at his death at 22, his great size and his continued growth in adulthood were due to hypertrophy. Hypertrophy. That's how it's spelled. Hypertrophy. I bet there's a different way to pronounce it, though, because I'm an idiot. of his pituitary gland. I got that one. You got pituitary. Victory. Which resulted in an abnormally high level of human growth hormone in his body. Even by the time of his death, there was no indication that his growth had ended. 8 feet, 11 inches tall. I got this picture of my kid standing. My kid was like 8 years old, standing next to the statue of Robert Wadlow. And it's so funny. My kid comes up to his kneecaps. It's like, you're a giant. All right. Happy birthday, Robert Wadlow. We hardly knew ye. 22 years old. I got to imagine that with that kind of excessive growth hormone, there's going to be some other things. Like, he didn't die skydiving is my point. He didn't die in World War One. That's he probably had. He did. I know he had difficulty moving. He couldn't ride in car. Oh God. Oh my God. You're 9 feet tall. 8 foot 11 inches. You're 9 feet tall. That's insane. A normal tall guy is 6 feet tall. You are 3 feet taller than a normal tall guy. A lot of wasted too, man. That dude was born. No, he wouldn't have been an NBA player. He had no mobility, but he could shoot. I bet he could shoot. He was a rim rocker. Born on this day in 1949, also celebrating a birthday, another little known guy, Niki Lauda. Niki Lauda was born on this day in 1949. Who is Niki Lauda? Niki Lauda was a Formula One, an Austrian race car driver. Fascinating guy, man. Okay, so I'm a fan of like racing, and I'm a fan of racing movies. And if you've ever seen the film Rush, the Ron Howard movie from a couple of years ago, Rush, I believe that Rush is the best racing movie ever made. It is so good. Rush stars Thor, right? Isn't it the guy who plays Thor? And maybe it's one of his brothers. No, it's Thor. He's like the big star. He's got brothers, but they're not big stars. So it stars Thor, who plays James Hunt, who was another F1 driver in the early 70s. And it's about the, 1974, 1975, somewhere in there, battle for the F1 championship between James Hunt and Niki Lauda. And Niki Lauda is interesting because he was in a terrible accident. He was considered to be one of the absolute greatest drivers of an automobile that had ever lived. He was technical. He had this Austrian precision about him. He knew exactly he knew what he was doing. He was great, as opposed to a lot of other drivers who are just, gifted because of their heart and their fearlessness. Lauda was just a technician, and he was just seen as a machine that could not be beaten. And he had a terrible crash, a fiery crash that burned his face, burned his body, and he came back like within a year to challenge James Hunt again. It's a great movie, man. Great movie. I don't even know what year it was. Maybe like 2017 or something like that. Rush. Man, is Rush a good movie. Happy birthday, Niki Lauda. He's dead. He died in 2019. Happy birthday, Dr. J. Julius Erving. I talked about the born on this day in 1950, Julius Erving, Dr. J. I talked about how the Miracle on Ice solidified as a young boy my love for sports, my love for watching sports. It's the sentimental attachment that I can directly go back to as the moment when I was like, okay, I guess I like sports. I guess I'm not going to be one of these kids that just, likes other things. I'm going to be a sports fan. Dr. J also, for me, is really the first mega athlete that I remember. I loved as a little kid Walter Payton, but Walter Payton played in my hometown. Walter Payton was somebody that we felt was ours. I didn't really have an affinity or any kind of attachment or really awareness of big time athletes from other cities. Dr. J was the first one. Dr. J, I believe, in my estimation, to me, was the first truly national sports figure. The guy who didn't play for my town, didn't play for a team that I rooted for, but who I knew who he was. I knew who Dr. J of the Philadelphia 76ers was. He was like Michael Jordan, and then Michael Jordan arrived. He was the guy. He had the entire NBA to himself. He was LeBron James with no other competitors. He was the de facto top guy in the league. Everybody wanted to see Dr. J play. And then a couple of years when he got to be an older guy in the league, then we started to see Magic and Bird, and then we had Jordan, and now there's a half dozen or so guys that are probably as big as Dr. J was, Julius Erving, back in the late 70s. Happy birthday, Dr. J. Just saw him at the All-Star game. He was one of the judges for the slam dunk contest. Still looking sharp. But I wonder if kids remember Dr. J. I remember if kids remember how great he was. Dr. J and Moses Malone. Yeah, that was Dr. J. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1959, Kyle MacLachlan, American actor, interesting weirdo actor. Twin Peaks, played Agent Dale Cooper in Twin Peaks. Also was in, was he Bud? Was that his name? Bud? Blue Velvet, one of the great David Lynch movies. He was a David Lynch actor. He was also in Dune, the original Dune. Kyle MacLachlan, born on this day in 1959, probably best known as Agent Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks. Sorry, we're still waiting to see if Biden's going to speak because I absolutely want to hear what he's going to say. Steve Irwin was born on this day in 1962, Australian zoologist and television host, the crocodile hunter. Boy, was he a big star, right? And then he died. He died in a grisly way. He died in a grisly way, but not a shocking way. I mean, we're talking about a guy who became famous. He became a global sensation because he would, screw around with alligators and crocodiles and all kinds of deadly animals. And he would get super close to them, and you put his head inside a gator's mouth, or a crocodile. I guess they called them crocodiles down there. Put his head inside a crocodile's mouth, And again, it's not like he died of lung cancer. He died when he got too close to a scary animal that killed him. He got barbed right through the heart by, is it a stingray? Is it a stingray, or is that just what I think is? Whatever. It was some fish that has a big long spike on its tail, and he got too close to it, and it went right through his heart, and apparently he died instantly. So there wasn't like a lot of pain or anything. So that's good. Because he seemed like a really cool guy. And his kid, have you seen, little Bindi, little Bindi Irwin? She's all grown up. She's a beautiful young lady. She's kind of doing the same thing that her dad was doing. And then he's also got a son who is like a big star in Australia. I don't know his name though. He's got a son who's sort of taken over, I'm the new crocodile hunter. But I don't know his name. Yeah, but I know Bindi. We all know Bindi. Because I think Bindi was the one. We talked last night about Michael Jackson and his kid Blanket, because yesterday was Blanket's birthday. Blanket Jackson is 22 years old. And we joked about the time that Michael Jackson held Blanket over a balcony to show him to a crowd of reporters who were gathered below, and how dangerous it was, and how, it's like Michael just held this little screaming kid over a balcony. I remember Steve Irwin did that with Bindi. When Bindi was just a little girl. Like I said, Bindi's now probably like in her 20s. But when Bindi was just a little girl, don't you remember there was like a big controversy because Steve Irwin dangled her over like a crocodile pool. Like there were a whole bunch of crocodiles, and he had Bindi's like, look at my little girl. And they're like, they're like jumping up, and he's like, nope. So he got in trouble for that. James Blunt, born on this day in 1974, English singer, songwriter, and guitarist. I know the name, have no clue who he is. No clue. You couldn't force me to listen to a James Blunt song. I got no idea. You could force me to listen to a James Blunt song because I'm fairly curious. I might be like, yeah, okay, let me give him. I know the name. I know he's famous, and it's his birthday. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1975, Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore was born on this day in 1975. American actress, director, producer, screenwriter. She was Gertie from E.T. And then she grew up. She became a teenager. She became like a controversial teenager because she did like a bunch of slutty movies. And it was like, Gertie, I don't want to see Gertie's tits. What is this? This ain't right. I don't want to see. And she still got a career. She was a very big star for a period of time in her adult life, probably like in her mid-20s and, maybe into her early 30s. She kind of dropped off. We haven't really seen a lot of Drew Barrymore lately, But there you go. I hope you're having. No, you know what? She's in that Santa Clara Diet, right? That Netflix series. Wasn't that something that she did with Timothy Oliphant, where she was like a zombie cannibal? My son loves that show. My son made me watch a couple of episodes of it because he noticed that I was watching Justified. I was rewatching Justified, and he goes, "That's the guy from Santa Clara Diet." And I go, "Who? Timothy Oliphant? He's a gunslinger in all of his show. He doesn't do stupid shit." And he's like, no, watch it. So I watched a couple episodes. It was pretty funny. Never went back. I don't know. But the first couple episodes were pretty funny. So happy birthday, Drew Barrymore. Maybe one day I'll get back into the Santa Clara Diet. I don't know. Dead on this day, as we always wrap up with somebody who died in this day. Andy Warhol died on this day in 1987, American painter and photographer. Culturally, he is given a whole lot of credit for being this wildly important figure in popular culture, popular art, popularizing artists, that whole thing. I don't know. Picture of Marilyn Monroe, right? It's a beautiful picture. Didn't God do most of the work? Campbell Soup Can. Really? That's we're going to make you one of the greatest American artists of all time because you painted a Campbell Soup Can. Really? That's it? I'm a Peter Max guy. I like Peter Max. He does some wild stuff. But whatever. Hey, Andy Warhol. I'm sure you have your audience. Oh, are you? He's one of the most famous artists in the history of modern culture. And you're sure he's got an audience? Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he's got an audience. We're still waiting on Biden. Biden is now an hour and a half late, so some shit is popping off, as they say. Oh, here's something interesting that I wanted to mention. Let me pull this up. Are you ready for your... Oh, Biden's talking. Hold on, we'll get into this in a second. All right, here he comes. We're going to watch this. Dun, 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 dun. Boop. Okay.
Try to make up your mind, huh? Well, good afternoon. Yesterday, Vladimir Putin recognized 2 regions of Ukraine as independent states. And he bizarrely asserted that these regions are no longer part of Ukraine and their sovereign territory. To put it simply, Russia just announced that it is carving out a big chunk of Ukraine. Last night, Putin authorized Russian forces to deploy into these regions. Today, he asserted that these regions extend deeper than the 2 areas he recognized, claiming large areas currently under the jurisdiction of the Ukrainian government. He's setting up a rationale to take more territory by force, in my view. And if we listened to his speech last night, and many of you did, I know, he's setting up a rationale to go much further. This is the beginning of a Russian invasion of Ukraine, as he indicated and asked permission to be able to do from his Duma. So let's begin to, I'm going to begin to impose sanctions in response far beyond the steps we and our allies and partners implemented in 2014. And if Russia goes further with this invasion, we stand prepared to go further as with sanctions. Who in the Lord's name does Putin think gives him the right to declare new so-called countries on territory that belong to his neighbors? This is a flagrant violation of international law, and it demands a firm response from the international community. Over the last few months, we've coordinated closely with our NATO allies and partners in Europe and around the world to prepare that response. We've said all along, and I've told Putin to his face more than a month ago, that we would act together. And the moment Russia moved against Ukraine, Russia has now undeniably moved against Ukraine by declaring these independent states. So today, I'm announcing the first tranche of sanctions to impose costs on Russia in response to their actions yesterday. These have been closely coordinated with our allies and partners, and will continue to escalate sanctions if Russia escalates. We're implementing full blocking sanctions on 2 large Russian financial institutions, VEB and their military bank. We're implementing comprehensive sanctions on Russian sovereign debt. That means we've cut off Russia's government from Western financing. It can no longer raise money from the West and cannot trade in its new debt on our markets or European markets either.
Loving the sign
Starting
language,
tomorrow,
girl. Loving her.
and in the days ahead, we'll also impose sanctions on Russia's elites and their family members. They share in the corrupt gains of the Kremlin policies and should share in the pain as well. And because of Russia's actions, we've worked with Germany to ensure Nordstream 2 will not, as I promised, will not move forward. As Russia contemplates its next move, we have our next move prepared as well. Russia will pay an even steeper price if it continues its aggression, including additional sanctions. The United States will continue to provide defensive assistance to Ukraine in the meantime, and will continue to reinforce and reassure our NATO allies. Today, in response to Russia's admission that it will not withdraw its forces from Belarus, I have authorized additional movements of U.S. forces and equipment already stationed in Europe to strengthen our Baltic allies, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Let me be clear, these are totally defensive moves on our part. We have no intention of fighting Russia. We want to send an unmistakable message, though, that the United States, together with our allies, will defend every inch of NATO territory and abide by the commitments we made to NATO. We still believe that Russia is poised to go much further in launching a massive military attack against Ukraine. Hope I'm wrong about that. Hope we're wrong about that. But Russia has only escalated its threat against the rest of Ukrainian territory, including major cities and including the capital city of Kyiv. There are still well over 150,000 Russian troops surrounding Ukraine. And as I said, Russian forces remain positioned in Belarus to attack Ukraine from the north, including warplanes and offensive missile systems. Russia's moved troops closer to Ukraine's border with Russia. Russia's naval vessels are maneuvering in the Black Sea to Ukraine's south, including amphibious assault ships, missile cruisers, and submarines. Russia's moved supplies of blood and medical equipment into position on their border. You don't need blood unless you plan on starting a war. Over the last few days, we've seen much of the playbook that Secretary Blinken laid out last week in the United Nations Security Council come to pass. A major increase in military provocations and false flag events along the line of contact in the Donbass. Dramatically staged, conveniently on-camera meeting of Putin's Security Council to grandstand for the Russian public. And now political provocation of recognizing sovereign Ukrainian territory as so-called independent republics in clear violation, again, of international law. President Putin has sought authorization from the Russian parliament to use military force outside of Russian territory. And this set the stage for further pretexts of further provocations by Russia to try to justify further military action. None of us should be fooled. None of us will be fooled. There is no justification. Further Russian assault in Ukraine remains a severe threat in the days ahead. And if Russia proceeds, it is Russia and Russia alone that bears the responsibility. As we respond, my administration is using every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers from rising prices at the pump. As I said last week, defending freedom will have cost for us as well and here at home. We need to be honest about that. But as we do this, I'm going to take robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, not ours. We're closely monitoring energy supplies for any disruption. We're executing a plan in coordination with major oil-producing consumers and producers toward a collective investment to secure stability in global energy supplies. This will blunt gas prices. I want to limit the pain to the American people are feeling at the gas pump. This is critical to me. In the last few days, I've been in constant contact with European leaders, including with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Vice President Harris met in person with the leaders in Germany over the weekend at the Munich conference, including President Zelensky. At every step, we have shown the United States and our allies and partners are working in unison, which he hasn't been counting on, Mr. Putin. We're united in our support of Ukraine. We are united in our opposition to Russian aggression. And we're united in our resolve to defend our NATO alliance. And we're united in our understanding of the urgency and seriousness of the threat Russia is making to global peace and stability. Yesterday, the world heard clearly the full extent of Vladimir Putin's twisted rewrite of history, going back more than a century, as he waxed eloquently, noting that, well, I'm not going to go into it, but nothing in Putin's lengthy remarks indicate any interest in pursuing real dialogue on European security in the year 2022. He directly attacked Ukraine's right to exist. He indirectly threatened territory formerly held by Russia, including nations that today are thriving democracies and members of NATO. He explicitly threatened war unless his extreme demands were met. And there is no question that Russia is the aggressor. So we're clear-eyed about the challenges we're facing. Nonetheless, there is still time to avert the worst-case scenario that will bring untold suffering to millions of people if they move as suggested. The United States and our allies and partners remain open to diplomacy if it is serious. When all is said and done, we're going to judge Russia by its actions, not its words. And whatever Russia does next, we're ready to respond with unity, clarity, and conviction. We'll probably have more to say about this as it moves on. I'm hoping diplomacy is still available. Thank you all very much.
Sir, are you still open to meeting with Vladimir Putin, sir?
Okay. That was big shit that just went down. That was big. Those were announcements of sanction. Now, if you remember earlier today, the huge big thing that nobody thought was going to happen was Germany capping and shutting down the Nordstream 2 pipeline, which again provides I'm not going to say unknown, I don't know, huge amounts to oil and gas and fuel, all the things that Europe runs on. Germany announced earlier today, this morning, that they were shutting that down. Now we have Biden coming out. You know, it was important. One of the things that I noted here that he said, defending freedom will have costs. We have to be honest about that. That was him acknowledging that our European partners are all in. Our European partners are saying, yeah, we know this is going to hurt us. And it's going to be a thing, but we need to strangle. These are sanctions that he just announced, and I'll go through them as I remember. I made a couple of notes here. These are sanctions that he just announced that Putin never in a million years thought that they would have the balls to do, because these are sanctions that are also going to affect the Western world. They are going to absolutely strangle Russia, but they are also going to very seriously inconvenience the rest of the Western world, the partners here. These are real. Here, let me move through here. Let's see. Cutting them off from essentially the world's banks. There is no more money to be had. Do you know what the oligarchs are? Right now, the oligarchs are like, they're all running to their ATMs, trying to pull out as much money as they can right now because the spigot has been turned off. Biden says, here, this is just tweeted here. These are popping up now quickly. Biden says U.S. will take action against 2 Russian banks, cut Russia off from sovereign debt financing in the West, and send troops to the Baltic states to reinforce NATO allies. Okay, those are very, very big moves. What else do we have here? I'm going to run through these because most of these are the notes that I have. Biden says, who does Putin think he is to announce annexation of territories that fall under the sovereignty of other countries? Very good. Cut off from VEB. VEB isn't a commercial bank. But it gives them room to ramp up to a bank that will really hurt if necessary. Is anyone in the Senate talking about SBER Bank? Okay, I don't know what that is. That's banking minutia. Let's see, what else do we have here? What are some of the other things people are saying? Russia has moved supplies and blood and medical equipment into position on the border, Biden says, adding, you don't need blood unless you plan on starting a war. Biden imposing sanctions immediately on two banks, VEB and its military bank, as well as Russian sovereign debt. Russian elites and their family members will be sanctioned. That is what Putin was. This was a poker game, and the West just called Putin's bluff. Putin did not think that the West was going to willingly lose money in support of the Ukrainian cause. Putin was like, yeah, they're not going to care. They're not going to lose money. Putin has probably been telling his oligarch puppet masters, don't you worry about a thing. This guy, he doesn't have the balls. They don't have the nerve. They're not going to trust me. They're going to clutch their pearls and they're going to hem and haw. Now Putin's probably taking some angry phone calls from some really rich Russian billionaires who are pissed. Let's see here. The announcement of troops to the Baltic states. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. That means not only is he strangling them economically, but we're going to begin to show them that we're going to put forces in place. And we're going to be able to respond in a moment's notice. We are cutting you off economically, and now we're going to start saber rattling. You want to be the tough guy? You want to be the Russian bear? Fuck you. I mean, that was really... here's something on that. Okay. The announcement of more troops to the Baltic states is a very significant and aggressive move by the United States. They are NATO's most vulnerable flank. Putin wants NATO troops further away, and he got the exact opposite. The United States is trying to ensure that sanctions don't disrupt the economy. I want to limit the pain to the American people who are fueling up at the gas pump. That's what I mean by, the defense of democracy comes with a price. You are either all in on the American way of democracy and defending it globally, which, if I'm being completely honest, I am not somebody who has always believed that we need to force feed the rest of the world our desired way of life. But we are a superpower. And since those bills are already paid, right? I mean, we have the largest defense budget in the world by multiple times fold over the next closest defense budget. And yet it just sits there. Is that a deterrent? Are we just throwing all this money away as a deterrent? Or when times like this come up and the superpower of the world, the United States, is called to defend American-style democracy in emerging nations, do we actually defend it? Or is it all just, yeah, we paid all that money for that stuff? The troops in the Baltics are, and again, it's not like, singular American units are going to be sent from North Carolina or Texas or wherever to be in the Baltics. We are talking about NATO troops here. We are talking about troops that are already stationed in Europe. Just going to move them around. And as the report I just read said, that is something that is very aggressive, and that is something that Putin never expected would happen. Putin is banking on the fact that we are all divided. Putin has spent the last 20 years of his presidency in Russia attempting to divide the United States population, getting us at each other's throats. This way that we live today, where we hate people, where you see American citizens wearing shirts that say, I'd rather be Russian than a Democrat. That's all Putin. That has been a psyop plan and a propaganda plan that this guy has been putting out there for years. When you hear stories about people like Tucker Carlson attending a big dinner, in Russia and being honored by RT, that's what this is about. There have been Russian-fueled agents poisoning the well in this country for years and years. And I'm not saying that these so-called Russian agents knew what they were doing. They were just dupes collecting big paychecks. And that's why there are people walking around, would rather be a Russian than a Democrat. Shut up. You're not an American. Oh boy, now I'm getting hot. Biden says he's moving U.S. troops already in Europe. That's what I was saying. Don't worry. We're not going to, it's not like, if you got a kid in the army who's stationed here, it's not like we're going to be sending troop transports over. We've already got our NATO forces over there. Biden says he's moving more U.S. troops already in Europe closer to the Baltic nations. We have no intention of fighting Russia, he says, but the United States and our allies will defend every bit of NATO territory. They're moving into position. Here's another one. These are extremely significant sanctions, especially cutting off Russia from the Western financing world. This is not a calculation that Putin had ever considered. The U.S. and Europe appear to be. Is that? Yeah. All right. So okay. So you get it. We're allied. We are completely. Russian sovereign debt sanctions are something from the U.S. Few countries are in a better position to handle that now. Russia has massive slush funds built up and is slated to run a surplus this year. Yeah, that's the oligarch money. But, the oligarchs don't want to dip into their slush funds. The oligarchs are all about making continued income year after year. And now they're learning that, nope, that's not going to happen. You're all cut off. If you do money, if your money is in a Russian bank, if you do business with these Russian financial institutions, you can no longer cash a check in London. You can no longer, and there are Russian oligarchs all over the world. There, we've got one that owns an NBA team, the Brooklyn Nets. This guy lives in Brooklyn. His ATM isn't going to work. Not that he worries about, you know what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that's a very big deal. Biden announces first tranche of sanctions against Russia. Putin is setting up a rationale to take more territory by force. In my view, this is the beginning of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, says Biden. Biden, so-called independent republics, clear violations of international law. President Biden said Russia has continued to move. By the way, these are all blue check reporters and journalists who I am reading. I have a whole list of them here. President Biden said Russia has continued to move naval forces into the Black Sea, troops throughout Belarus, and blood banks along with forward forces. You don't need blood unless you plan on starting a war. How the hell did Ice-T get in the middle of my journalism? Ice-T just chiming in. We used to play games in the streets, kickball, touch football, then stop as cars had to pass and restart. Hashtag childhood. Okay. That's nice. In the middle of all of these blue check international and foreign correspondents, I got Ice-T popping up in my timeline. According to Biden, Putin is setting up a rationale to go much further. It's the beginning of an invasion into the Ukraine. Who in the Lord's name does Putin think gave him the right to declare new countries? Biden says Russia is carving out a big chunk of the Ukraine, vows to impose sanctions far beyond those of 2014. This is the first wave of U.S. sanctions. Be looking for even more to come later in the week based upon aggressive nature of Russian troop movement. Okay. All right. So we basically got it. That was, he came out and he announced the sanctions that certainly nobody in Russia thought that they were going to do. It was sort of, there was a bit of a signaling that these sanctions that Biden was going to announce today might be a little bit harder than what were anticipated, certainly anticipated by Putin. The signaling, as I said, came in the form of Germany earlier today saying, no, we're not buying any more Russian oil. We're capping that. We're done. You guys can just take a loss, do whatever you need to do. But all of Europe, that was a very big move by Europe. And now it's been countered in a very big announcement by the President of the United States. Okay, so there we go. Biden hits Russia with new sanctions over flagrant violations of international law with Ukraine invasion. All right, so now what I want to do, let's see here. Let's pull that up. Oh, yeah, it's always important to mention about the show. Here, let's take a look at flight radar, because now that all the cards are on the table, let's see if we have anything more happening in the area. These are this is my little obsession these days, where I am fascinated by the area over the Ukraine and any sort of planes. Okay, so there's still very little in the Black Sea. There's nothing in the Sea of Azov, which is right here. This is the contested area. What's this guy doing? No call sign on this guy. Who's this guy? This guy is coming right out from over Donetsk. You know, let's just see what the most tracked planes are. All right, I bet you that's him. Yeah, that is him. All right, so this guy's flying at 56,000 feet. If you remember, there was another plane up in the air that had no call sign about an hour ago. He seems to have boogied his way back this way and then disappeared. So we don't know if he went over into Poland or what. This guy, does it have an origin point on this guy? Does it look, well, from what it looks like he took off. Yeah, but this is, they turn their transponders on and off, and it restarts their tracking. So, this could in fact be the same guy that we were watching, although I don't think enough time has passed. I've spent enough time watching this flight tracker service that if he was over here, the last time we checked in with him, I don't believe enough time has passed for him to now be over here. So I think this might be just a different plane. All right, so there we go. What is this guy? What is this guy? This is okay. All right, so this is Russian military. Where is this guy flying from? He is okay, so this might be diplomatic. This might be a diplomatic team. Special Flight Squadron. It's a Russian plane, and this is interesting. People are watching this. This is the second most watched flight worldwide because it took off from Moscow, flew across Belarus, and now it is flying into, basically our land, Poland. This is so I would have to imagine Special Flight Squadron being watch number 2. I would imagine this is a diplomatic mission. I believe that these are people who are now going to sit down and go, the oligarchs are pissed. That would just be my guess. Because it emanated in Moscow, which is right here. It is designated as a special flight, which means that it's typically that means like diplomatic, or there's a high-ranking military personnel on board. A lot of times when a general or something, it'll get that designation of Special Flight Squadron. This appears because it seems to have no problem crossing over. Okay, so first of all, it flew over Belarus and Russia, and so that would make sense because it's a Russian plane. But now it's into like NATO territory. And I don't know if there's any problems with it. Is anybody watching it? Do we have any other? What's this guy? Okay, that guy's nothing. What are these guys? Is it flying into Warsaw? Okay. These are all commercial jets. That's our boy. See what he is. Okay. Let's see what this guy is. Is this that one? Okay, that's a Turkish Airlines flight that left Moscow. What is this one? Sky Up. Don't know what Sky Up Airlines is. Why is this important? Oh, because he seems to be flying over Kiev. Okay. Wow, just a few moments ago, and I can't find it now. A few minutes ago, there was a Canadian Royal Air Force plane that was up. When Biden was speaking, I checked in on this, and that's what I was expecting to see. All right, but this guy here, this guy's the number 1 watched plane worldwide. This is another one of these ghost planes. We don't know what the hell this is all about. Invalid transponder code. Number 1, 22,000 people in the world on this website are watching it. So, and they're not all idiots like me. If there's 22,000 people watching this, that means that some of the people who are watching this are like, retired military, retired pilot. They know what they're looking at. So if this is the number 1 watched plane on the globe right now, there's a reason for that. This is all very interesting. Again, it's not telling anybody where it's coming from or where it's going. Seems to be flying. This again seems to be a very, this tells you it's reconnaissance. This tells you that it's looking at stuff. We don't know where it's from. That's a Ryanair. Where's the Canadian plane that was out here doing some business? Maybe he landed in the last. What's this guy? Okay, cargo planes. Okay. I wanted to see the tracking of the Canadian plane. Okay, there we go. We've got a U.S. Air Force plane here. What is this? Okay, so this is a refueling plane. So we've got a refueling plane in the air, which tells us that there's probably jets up there that are not, that do not have their transponders on, because they don't put a refueling plane up in the air just to burn gas. This guy's up there and he's flying around, so he's doing circles. This is basically like the gas station in the sky. He's just flying here. Let's see, what do we got? We got anybody else? Nope. Okay. Yeah, that's the guy we just looked at. Who's this guy? It's Qatar Airlines. What's this guy? Turkish Airlines. What is it? This looks like a little private plane. Okay, it's a little propeller plane. Huh. Okay, let's check back in again with the number ones. Moscow. So these two flights that came out of Moscow are 2 and 3. People are watching these for some reason. All right. Where is that guy? Wasn't that guy over here? All right. So this guy is, it says it's going to, this is, I didn't see this at first. So it's going to Casablanca. Maybe some very important meetings there in North Africa. But he's flying with no issues over. It's a diplomatic flight, special flight squadron. And he's got clearance. They're like, all right, let that guy through. He's out there doing God's work, trying to end this thing. Sky Up Airlines. All right, that's interesting. It's interesting that the Canadian jet is gone. There was, or again, it may not be gone. It may have just turned off its, may have gone dark, hiding. All right, what's this guy here? What's this dude? Turkish Airlines. Okay, this is the one that's got everybody's interest. What's this guy? Fly One. What's this guy? Nope. Sorry, I'm interested in finding the path of the Canadian Air Force jet that was up there, seeing what that guy's doing. See what he's getting into. See what he. All right, this is a Royal Air Force jet. This is RAF. Is it? Is it RA? No. It doesn't seem to have any markings of Royal Air Force. What is this? Country of origin. What is that? What kind of aircraft is that? This will tell us. Oh, for fudge's sake, I have sketchy ass hands. All right. Let me see what kind of plane that is. That'll tell us what this is. Yeah, no, it's nothing. It's nothing. I guess I was wrong. RAF, that's designation for Royal Air Force. That's the British military planes, but that's nothing. Okay. Still nothing over in this area. Still no Russian jets that we're seeing. There's nothing. Again, though, they're going dark. The only Russian plane that seems to have a transponder on is that one that I would imagine is a diplomatic plane, because it is flying free over NATO territories. Although I don't know that that's, we're at a point where you would stop that. All right, stop sharing. We'll come back to that a little bit later. We'll do it before the show ends. All right, so there you go. Well, we'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of the White House stuff. Look at this. It's already 2:00. Hokey schmokels. I had no idea that the day was moving by so quickly. All right, let's get back into some of the things. I like I said, I don't see any new reports. I don't see anything of let's see what kind of fighting. Is there anything new on the fighting front? Yep. Nope. Okay. Nothing really new. Nothing new that I can tell you. All right. So let's just get into some of the other things that we were going to do today. Some of the other stories that are happening here. Bring you up to speed on the other headlines. Yes, there are other things that are happening. Oh, before we were so rudely interrupted by the President of the United States, I was telling you this story. Yesterday was President's Day. And man, did I stumble on the craziest fun fact ever. Are you ready to have your mind blown? This is going to blow your damn mind. Hold on. This is a crazy presidential fun fact. Oh. If I can get it up here. There you go. There you go. Okay. So, do you know President John Tyler? Okay, so John Tyler, one of the lessers, if you tried to recite all the presidents of the United States, John Tyler and like your random Chester A. Arthurs, these are the guys that you just like, yeah, okay, I forgot about that guy, but yeah, I guess he was a president. I remember seeing his picture on my wall. John from grade school. John Tyler was the 10th president of the United States. John Tyler was born. When was John Tyler born? John Tyler was born in March of 1790. Okay. 10th president of the United States, was born in 1790, died in 1862. So died at 72 years old in 1862. John Tyler, the 10th president of the United States, born in 1790. John Tyler still has 2 living grandchildren. 2 living grandchildren. There are 2 people who are walking around. Well, they're probably not walking around because they're pretty old. But imagine that. John Tyler was born in 1790 and he still has 2 grandkids that are born. Now, how is that even possible? Well, I'll tell you how it's possible. John Tyler had like a crap ton of kids. He had like, a whole bunch of kids, and he was pumping kids out like well into his 70s. I think he died at 72. I think he had his last kid at like 71 years old. So, okay. So John Tyler, 71-year-old John Tyler has a kid, and then that kid lived to be like 100 years old and was also pumping kids out all the way into his. And now here we are. We've got 2 living grandchildren of John Tyler still alive. We got, here's their names. As the United States celebrates President's Day, an historical oddity continues to amaze all who stumble across it. President John Tyler, who served from 1841 to 1845, was born in 1790 and died in 1862, still has 2 surviving grandsons. Lyon Gardner Tyler Jr. was born in 1924, and Harrison Ruffin Tyler was born in 1928. Could you imagine that? I mean, this guy's basically like a founding father. He's the 10th president of the United States, born in 1790. 1790. This dude could have fought in the War of 1812. A dude who could have fought in the War of 1812, probably did, has 2 living grandchildren who are both like super old. Super old. How old are they? Wait a second. Let me see here. When was this born? So one is one of his grandchildren is 98 years old, and the other one is 95 years old. All right, there you go. I wish I had that fun fact yesterday during the show, because that is a wang dang dilly of a President's Day fun fact. That is one to write home about. All right, let's get into some of the things that are trending today that are not related to the war in the Ukraine. Let's see here. Oh. Here. We could do, why not? We'll do our moment of joy. We got to do a moment of joy, something that puts us in a good mood. This is a cool one. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. I saw this yesterday. It was trending, and this dude is my hero. This guy.
There's been a
Here. This is Philip Crowther. Okay, Philip Crowther is an Associated Press reporter, foreign correspondent. This dude, this dude is amazing. All right, here we go. Look at this guy. Foreign correspondence. Okay, first of all, super cool job, right? Everybody thinks if you're American or whatever, everybody thinks you're a part of the CIA. You know, you can meet girls in bars and you can play the whole international spy thing, because what better cover for an international spy would being a foreign correspondent be? But so it's a cool job anyway. But look at this guy. Watch this guy. Ready? This dude is blowing people's minds. He is a foreign correspondent based in Eastern Europe, and he reports to all the different languages in all the different countries. This dude speaks like a dozen languages. Watch this.
There's been a war with Russian-backed forces in the east, the Donbass region, for 8 years now. But despite that, the capital city of Kiev is relatively calm. Natürlich ist schon ein gewisser Sinn und der Krieg gewinnt, den natürlich schon am Gang ist, am Osten, an der Donbass-Region, zwischen der Ukraine, an der russischen Separatisten, dos reuniones que va a mantener el presidente francés hoy en Moscú con el presidente ruso Vladimir Putin y mañana aquí en Kiev con el presidente ucraniano Volodymyr Zelensky. Moscovo brandiu o anúncio de retirada da terça-feira como prova de que os temores da guerra foram fabricados por um ocidente hostil liderado pelos Estados Unidos. À ce stade, la guerre semble probable, c'est aussi simple que cela. Mais il y a encore cette petite lueur d'espoir que la diplomatie puisse arrêter une invasion russe de l'Ukraine. Das ist genau das, was sie erwartet hatten. Desinformation, gefälschte Angriffe und ein Vorwand für Russland, in die Ukraine einzumarschieren. Aber alles ist sehr schwer natürlich vor Ort zu überprüfen. There's been a war with Russian-backed forces.
I mean, come on, you guys. Come on. I barely speak English, which is my native language, and I can fumble my way through a Mexican restaurant menu. But that guy, that is some impressive stuff. Congratulations to you, Philip Crowther. You are a smart. You know how smart you have to be able to do all of those language, and fluently enough that they're going to put you on TV. They don't put correspondents on TV speaking broken languages. You know, you don't stumble. That dude, man, oh man. All right, so let's see here. What do we have? What is trending? What is trending outside of? Okay. So here's another thing I'll share with you. This I found interesting. This is also having to do with Ukraine. Spit it out, dummy. Ukraine. Here. So we're all talking about. Here we go. Volodymyr Zelensky, who is the president of the Ukraine, right? Okay. He's the president of the Ukraine. Now, I mentioned yesterday, I said, you know, this guy, he's a comedian. That's his background. Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, who is standing up to Putin, is a comedian. He's an actor. He's a comedian. I said that, you know, basically it'd be like if we made Jerry Seinfeld the president of the United States, and then suddenly they were in the middle of this very serious stare down with Russia. So we found this. He was the star. He's the star of a lot of movies. He's like a very big movie star and TV star in the Ukraine, in that part of the world. And shockingly, apparently they have their own sort of film situation. But he had, most recently, he had a very popular show on Ukrainian television called Servant of the People, where he played the president of the Ukraine. And it was when he ended that show that people then just elected him the actual president of the Ukraine. So what I found here, this is a trailer for Servant of the People 2, which was a movie that was released after the series. You know, they have 5 seasons in a movie. You know, after popular TV shows end their run, they oftentimes make a movie out of it. Sex in the City. You know what I'm talking about? They make a movie out of the TV show. So this is a trailer from the movie Servant of the People 2, starring the current president of the Ukraine. This is balls out crazy. The world makes no sense. So here we go. All right, let's watch this. Let's enjoy this. And I'll point out when the president of the Ukraine is on camera.
А иначе, пожалуйста. Значит так, закон один для всех. А иначе, пожалуйста, чемоданы в руки, большой привет. Вы что, нам угрожаете? Я сделаю все, чтобы эти законы были приняты. Смешно. Что, ты действительно его выпустишь? Выпущу одного, посажусь. Ты долбанулся, что ли? С олигархами нужно поступать точно так же. Столкнуть их лбами, развалить коалицию и договориться с каждым по отдельности.
Полностью переделали ему внешность, его мама родная не узнает.
Вот здесь потверже сделать, тут помягче.
А если по роже?
By the way, that is exactly what got Al Franken kicked out of the United States Senate. I also want to note that as I watch this, I keep feeling this feeling that if this was in English, I would watch this. This actually looks interesting.
А чого сидимо, чого не п'ємо? Хотілося б побачити президента.
Production values are straight up Hollywood quality.
Тарас Андрійович, давайте поговоримо о вас.
Президент Голобородько призначив Івана Василюка новим губернатором Харківської області.
Голобородько поставил твоего человека. Слушайте этот грохот. Это рушится коалиция. Сейчас Вася узнает, что такое запорожское гостеприимство.
This looks good. Oh, there's the president running.
Даже не думайте.
Uh-oh. Hey, Rudy Giuliani did this kind of stuff.
Президент просить вибачення, він зараз проводить в Раді фінальні консультації.
That's the president of Ukraine.
Ну, простите, я не сдержался.
Volodymyr Zelensky. I want to see this.
Президент.
There you go. That's how crazy is that? Well, no crazier than electing a game show host president of the United States. I see your point. I gotcha. Turn that nonsense off. We'll turn this off as well. That is crazy. That guy, I would watch that. If that were in English, I mean, I'm not gonna read a Ukrainian movie. I'm sorry. I can barely get through Narcos, you know. Narcos is only half in Spanish, and I have a working familiarity with Spanish. I don't think I could do, but if that was dubbed, I would watch that. Somebody find me. I need to find a dubbed copy of Servant of the People 2 starring Volodymyr Zelensky, the current actual president of Ukraine. I want to see the movie where he portrays a fictional president of the Ukraine. All right, there you go. Thought that was pretty fun. What do we have here? Okay, one last piece of video that I want to show you here. This was trending. I thought this was interesting as well. This is not silly like that was. This is a piece of audio of or not audio. It's a piece of video, and this is back from 2000. Was this from 14? Yeah, it is from 2014. This was sent to me by my boy Ed. This is Condi Rice back in 2014 talking about she knows Vladimir Putin. She has had, former Secretary of State. She has had meetings with him. She's hung out with him. They know each other. Hung out with him. I don't know what that means. But this is Condi Rice talking about, we see the Putin that we see on the world stage. This is Condi Rice talking about the actual guy, what he's like to be around.
We have a great power in Europe behaving badly. Vladimir Putin never accepted the outcome of the end of the Cold War. He has said that the collapse of the Soviet Union was the greatest tragedy of the 20th century. That's something when you consider that the Russians lost probably as many as 30 million people in World War II. It's quite a statement to say that was the greatest tragedy. I remember sitting with him at NATO in 2008 in his last talk to the NATO-Russia Council, and he said something that everybody sort of said, did we hear that right? He said, Ukraine is a made-up state, he said. And I can remember going to see Vladimir Putin, and in one of my last encounters with him, having him say, you know us, Condi. You know that Russia has only been great when it was ruled by strong men, like Alexander the Great, like Alexander II, like Peter the Great. And I remember thinking, and then is Vladimir the Great supposed to be in that line? But I was too polite to ask. I was Secretary of State. And I'm not sure he's delusional. I am sure he's not wholly rational. Because leaders of great countries don't go around fighting tigers bare-chested. He's a megalomaniac. And you have to deal with the 5% chance that he might in fact be delusional. And he is making up his own version of history, and I don't see anybody around him who's telling him, he's talking about Russia becoming self-sufficient and autarkic again. How long has it been since we've heard those words, Joseph Stalin?
All right, there you go. So that's Condi Rice talking about the guy the world is dealing with right now, someone who knows him. Hold on. Oh, boy. I just hung up on my kid. Can't hang up. Can't hang up on my kid. Let me give him a call real quick. He wants his lunch. He wants his halal guy's lunch that I promised him.
Hey, Miss Myron here. Sorry,
oh, there he is. Yeah, I'm still on, buddy. You dying for lunch? All right, give me a few minutes here. All right. Hey, sorry, the kid. The kid wants lunch. Kid's got to have lunch. All right, we'll run through a couple of things, a couple of other pieces of news that we'll just do them fairly quickly. The big news is obviously all of the Ukraine stuff that's happening, but there was another piece of big news in the Ahmaud Arbery case. Remember him, the jogger in Georgia who was killed by the 3 local idiots who were sentenced to like life in prison. I don't know. They threw the book at him. Well, today they were all found guilty on additional federal hate crime charges, all 3 of them. There was some belief that Roddy, the guy with the bowl haircut, the guy who looks like he cuts his own hair, there was a father and a son team, and then there was Roddy, who was, he looks like the quintessential inbred Georgia idiot. He was believed to be the one that might escape the hate crime charges because he responded with the belief that this was a criminal. He didn't know, he didn't see him. It was the father and the son who had basically determined that Ahmaud Arbery was a criminal, and so they took the law into their own hands and they went and got him. So it was believed that Roddy would maybe escape the more serious aspects of the federal hate crime charges that were put up against him. But nope, all three of these idiots have been found guilty on federal hate crime charges as well. Doesn't matter. They were never getting out. Kyle Rittenhouse is also trending today. Kyle Rittenhouse is trending because he has announced that he's suing Whoopi Goldberg, a whole bunch of news networks, and a whole bunch of other politicians for calling him a murderer. So he's doing that. So Kyle Rittenhouse is trending today for that. Aaron Rodgers is trending today. Aaron Rodgers got drunk last night and posted an Instagram that has a lot of people spinning back and forth. I don't know what the latest is. Aaron Rodgers was like, I love all you guys. It was like this crazy Instagram where he was he was saying goodbye. He recently broke up with his crazy hippie dippy girlfriend, Shailene Woodley. And he went on about, oh, thank you, Shailene, for always having my back, blah, blah, blah. I'll just read it right here. Aaron Rodgers, Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers shares a lengthy Instagram post expressing gratitude for his team and ex-fiancée Shailene Woodley To my teammates, past and current, you are the icing on the beautiful cake that we call our job, football. Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers thanks current and former teammates. Okay, so the big deal is that he was going to appear on the Pat McAfee show today, regularly scheduled thing. People were wondering, based on the Instagram that was posted last night, if he was going to announce that he was retiring or what he was going to do. Aaron Rodgers told the Pat McAfee show that he just came out of a 12-day cleanse, and his first thought was intense gratitude for everyone in his life. Okay, so it doesn't look like he made any big announcement. They thought that he was possibly going to. Zion Williamson is trending now. I'm looking at this. I'm just running through these because I wasn't really able to put together a full show of random topics because of following the Ukraine stuff. There was a lot of big stuff that happened there this morning, and I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. Hi, doggy. The dog has just shut up. Kid goes into the room, dog comes out of the room. I'm guessing the kid kicked the dog out. What else do we have here? Anything big happening? Anything else? Yeah, no, you know what? Just come back and join us tonight at 9:00 for our second stream. That'll be Pugs and myself and James Parker. We do that every night at 9:00, Monday through Thursday evening. It is our second live show, so please come one, come all, join us. We're probably going to talk more about these sanctions. Actually, maybe not. I don't know. I think I enjoy the time I spend with Parker. If there is something big that occurs, I'm certain that we'll cover it tonight at 9:00. But, we have different political ideologies, and I don't like to spend time arguing with people who I otherwise enjoy the company of. Like, we'll find something else. Maybe tonight we'll try and find something else. Like I said, unless there's just like big war news to cover, then it'll be different. But come join us again tonight. Pugs and Parker Pillow Talk, 9:00 here on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. All right, I got to get my kid some halal guys. He loves halal. Why wouldn't he? Halal guys is delicious. Not me though. I'm gonna have something else. I've had my heart set on something else to eat. Chicken salad. I want to make a chicken salad sandwich so bad. I make a really good chicken salad sandwich. Let me tell you something, folks. There's very little difference between a killer chicken salad sandwich, a killer tuna salad sandwich, and a killer egg salad sandwich. And you know what I've done? I've combined the egg salad sandwich and the chicken salad sandwich. I've also combined the tuna salad sandwich and the egg salad sandwich. I've never combined the egg salad sandwich, the tuna salad sandwich, and the chicken salad sandwich. I think that's weird. You know what else is weird, now that I think about it? I have had the chicken salad sandwich with the egg salad sandwich, and it's been delicious, and I've enjoyed it, but I consider it a crime against nature to have scrambled eggs with a piece of chicken. I can't do it. It makes me gag. The thought of having like some chicken breast with some scrambled eggs, it's like I'm killing the mom and the babies all in one fell swoop. I can't do that. Yet now that I think about it, I really do enjoy a chicken salad sandwich with an egg salad sandwich. I'm a mess, folks. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of inconsistency. There is a whole lot of stuff that I can't explain. You shouldn't try to. It'll just confuse you, confound you, and make you feel less about yourself. All right, moving on. I'm going to hit up halal guys. Get my kid some, get him like a shawarma bowl. He's going to get the, actually, my prediction is that he's not going to go with the shawarma bowl. He's probably going to go with like the gyros bowl. He likes the gyros. Very little different between the two. They're like exactly the same to me, but whatever. They're both fun to say. Mediterranean food from that part of the world. Very fun to pronounce. Shawarma. Gyros. Tzatziki sauce. All right, join us at Oh, we're done. We don't have to be. If I'm not done talking, we don't have to be. We can come back. All right. Who did I miss? Try to see if I missed anybody here. I don't see April in there today. I see my Leslie. I see one of my Leslies. I don't see. Oh, there's my other Leslie. What do you mean no chat available on Facebook? Has that been a problem all day? There's no feed available on Facebook? Well, like I said, may I direct your attention over to the YouTube feed. Try and build that channel up. All right, we're done. Support the show if you can. That's always appreciated. Coming to the end of the month, bills are due. This show exists due to the graciousness, kindness, and generosity of you, the fine listener, who tune in every day for the High Noon Show at noon and the Pillow Talk edition at 9. All right, we're out here. Bye, everybody. See you tonight at 9. I am on a never-ending quest.